So the 2016 Game Awards was last night, and it's hosted and produced and created by Jeff Keighley. Now, when he originally started this show, it premiered on Spike TV, and it has then been moved to an online-only platform. It's been around for a couple years, and I haven't really been a fan of it. I always think they do a few things wrong, and the show just kind of bores me from time to time. But this year's episode was probably the worst I've ever seen, and that says a lot because I hated last year's. But this is a whole new level of hatred for me. It was so bad. The 3 hours just felt like it took forever, including the pre-show and the overlap. I've sat in police stations for questioning for longer periods of time that went by faster than this 3-hour show did. So what is so bad about the Game Awards? In this video, we're gonna talk about the 5 reasons the Game Awards show sucks. So the first problem with this year's show isn't a big deal to some people, but it was very noticeable to me, and it kind of took me out of the experience of the award show, is the lack of flair on the stage. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, the Doom musical performance was probably one of the highlights of the show for me. I am a fan of Doom. It is my game of the year 2016 so far, unless something comes out in the next month that changes it, but Doom was an awesome game, and Doom has an awesome soundtrack. It's always had an awesome soundtrack, from when they were ripping off Metallica and Pantera to the modern guitar riffs today. And these guys, whoever they were, I'm not familiar with them, did an excellent rendition of Doom, and they snuck in a little Quake 2 music as well. And I was thrilled. I was like, this is really dope. These guys are good, they sound good, and this is video games. Doom is a huge part of video games. But I noticed something. On their visual performance on stage, it was so bland. They had this big screen in the back of them, and there's nothing going on but like a blue ocean looking thing. Where are the demons? Where are the imps? Where's the fire? Where's Satan? Like, you should have flames on stage. You should be putting money into the production value on that aspect instead of wasting money in other areas that I'll talk about later on in the video. It was just such a weird thing, watching these dudes rocking out, and all you had was a strobe light. Like, at least do a red light. It was just bizarre to me. And just the whole overall look of the show just feels very cheap and very lackluster. And if you're gonna do an award show, if you're gonna try to create, you know, a suit and tie sort of event, you should at least put money into the production of the show so that it looks good, so that people who aren't into video games might say, hey, you know, these guys got good production, let me watch this show, let me learn a little bit about the video game industry for the past year. Because the gamers that are watching the show, they want stuff like that. They want to see visual representations of Doom during a Doom musical montage. So that was one of my biggest issues with the show, was just a lack of visual flair overall. My next issue with the Game Awards 2016 was just the overall poor pacing of the show. Now, we're going to talk a bit more about the individual things that went into this, but just to sort of gloss over it, you had a very interesting situation at the very start of the show with Hideo Kojima receiving an award, and it was followed up by a rap performance. What? What? Like, the Kojima thing was a very, you know, somber sort of moment for some reason, which we're really going to get into that later. But to follow it up with a rap performance, it was just like, the show, it goes like this. It's like, and it was just so bizarre. And these world premiere trailers that are sprinkled in are just so lackluster. Let's be honest. The only good trailers from that event were Prey and the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer, which was the last thing we saw. Prey was cool because you turned into a cup and you could go in a little hole, and I was like, hey, that reminds me of Geist. But holy shit, all of these other trailers were so bad. Let's look at the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. It was a cassette tape floating in outer space, and then Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a world premiere? That's what you're freaking banking your show on? That was crazy. Look at the Nintendo stuff that was there for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You showed an awesome trailer in the pre-show, and then you showed Bill Trinen and another guy playing the game in the actual show. What? Switch that around. Put that gameplay at the start of the show, in the pre-show, and then show this awesome trailer during the show. Who came up with this? Who greenlighted this and said, hey, you know what? This is a good idea. Let's put this boring ass segment in the show and this awesome trailer at the start of the show. It was just mind-boggling, and the whole show was like that. The pacing was just so bad overall. It was just all over the place. It made literally no sense. The next big problem with the Game Awards 2016 was, oh, come on, you knew this was coming, the musical performances. All right, like I said earlier, the Doom thing was cool. I appreciated the Doom thing because Doom is a video game. Doom is a big video game. Doom has been around for a long time. What does Killer Mike have to do with video games? Okay, now before you kill me here, I'm a fan of Killer Mike. I've been listening to Killer Mike for years, decades even. But Killer Mike does not really embody video games to me. Killer Mike was just a rapper at a game show talking about a bag of dicks on your lips. Like, what does that have to do with video games? Are people at this event enjoying that sort of stuff? Are game developers like, oh shit, Killer Mike's gonna be here? Maybe he'll put a bag of dicks on my lips. Like, it made no sense to have Killer Mike of all people there. And then you had this other musical performance. I don't even remember the dude's name. I think it was the Black Beatles or something. What in the mother of fuck was that? That was terrible. Nobody cared. If you watch both musical performances, they had like 3 rows of people that they obviously played to get hype, and then everyone else was just sitting there like this. People were live tweeting pictures of the event like, okay, when is this going to be over? And no disrespect to the Black Beatles guys. I don't know if that's their name or the name of the song or whatever, but that was the most taped performance since Milli Vanilli. You had a dude with a guitar on stage. You had a dude with a drum set on stage, yet it was obviously a mix. Like, I used to DJ. I DJ'd for many years. I still DJ somewhat. It was terrible. It was just pre-recorded music with scratches thrown in that the scratches weren't even relevant to the song. And why is this on a video game show? What do these people have to do with video games? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was time waster. It was just pathetic to put this on there, and it was just so stupid. My next point ties in with my last point. I didn't like the musical performances for a variety of reasons, but one I didn't mention was how it overshadows the actual game awards. Let's look at the title of the show, The Game Awards, as in giving awards to things in gaming, as in honoring things in gaming. How many of those awards last night actually happened before the award show? How many of those awards that happened last night happened in passing? Like, oh yeah, by the way, best esports game, Street Fighter 5. Hey, look, we got Killer Mike. Like, Jesus Christ, what's the emphasis of the show? Is it the game awards or things loosely tied to video games? Like, I'm sure Killer Mike's been in a video game before in the soundtrack, so maybe that's the connection. It's just so bizarre how things get trumped out of the way for these other things that are irrelevant to gaming. Best esports player, best esports team, is that a thing? Like, I don't understand it. And then you have Michael Phelps come out to give the best esports player award, because I guess to say an Olympic athlete is on the same level of competition as an esports player. Now, I respect esports players. I respect esports teams. It is a booming industry for sure. There's a lot of money to be made there. But to put an Olympic athlete out there to try to say, hey, we're on the same level as this esports guy here, it's pathetic. It's bullshit. Get off your high horse with that. Much respect to the esports players, but if you think you are at the level of an Olympic gold medal winning athlete, you're batshit crazy. So this was just so bizarre how certain awards weren't even mentioned on the show. They were in the pre-show. The handheld game of the year. That's a big market. Handheld games are a huge market. Huge market. And it was in the pre-show. And it was Pokemon Go of all things. Who voted Pokemon Go? Pokemon Go has just been fixed. They're just now adding things to the game. At the time of the judging, that shouldn't even be considered. Best RPG was DLC for The Witcher 3. So there has to be a tying force to all of this. All 4 of these items that I've mentioned so far have to have one thing that tie it all together. There has to be a reason for all these miscalculations and all these missteps and all of these things that drag the show down. And you know what? There is. And that's my number one problem with the game show or the Game Awards show. The number one problem, the biggest problem, the main problem with the Game Awards 2016, 2015, 2014, every year it's been on is one person. And that is you, Jeff Keighley. Ooh, here we go. Time to start spitting some fire. On a serious note, I saw something last night from Jeff Keighley that was one of the most disturbing things I've seen in video games. And I've seen a lot of shit in the video game world. Okay, I've seen terrible things happen to people. I've seen, violent, over-the-top video games. But what I saw last night really rubbed me the wrong way. And I think a lot of people missed this. So let's just get into it. Hideo Kojima received an award. I don't recall what the award was named, but it was for, being an OG in the community, for being one of the best game producers. Fine, I have no problem with that. I'm a Kojima fan. I think he makes good games. But Jeff Keighley pretty much wanted to unzip his pants live on stage when talking about Kojima. That's what started the show, was this verbal blowjob to Hideo Kojima. And Keighley almost cried during it, talking about the hardships that Kojima faced at Konami. Look, I understand it was a shitty situation to work at Konami at that time. I understand it was fucked up what Konami did to Hideo Kojima, but the man was almost in tears, saying it was a tragedy. A tragedy. He was acting like, he had cancer or something, or maybe he lost his son to cancer. Oh, wait. Wasn't there another award given to a guy who based the game on his son that died of cancer? If you watch that part back where Jeff Keighley talks about that after that award is given, and watch Jeff Keighley talk about Hideo Kojima, and you will see something that pissed me off. The fact that Mr. Keighley was more emotional talking about Hideo Kojima than a man who developed a game who's based on his son dying of cancer. Based on his son dying of cancer. Keighley did not show that much emotion as he did with Kojima. And that blew my mind. I don't understand it. Oh wait, I do understand it. You see, Jeff Keighley's been very successful in video games. Jeff Keighley has made a name for himself. He's made a lot of money. And because of this, he's allowed to do these sort of things. Jeff Keighley is kind of like Jimmy Fallon to me. Jimmy Fallon, basically, on his show, just does things he wants to do. He makes his show about him. He brings on guests that he wants. He does skits that he wants. That's why there's a lot of stuff based on 80s and 90s culture in that. And Jeff Keighley is obviously the same sort of person. Except Jeff Keighley, you are not on national television every night. You have 1 year, and you get 1 day in that year to do your award show. And so what do? You make it all about you. You honestly think someone said, hey Jeff, we should really bring Killer Mike in. No, Jeff Keighley decided to bring Killer Mike in. Jeff Keighley decided to give Hideo Kojima a virtual blowjob. It was, oh God, that was the weirdest thing in the world. Jeff Keighley decided all of these things because it's Jeff Keighley's award show. It's not the video game awards, it's the Jeff Keighley show. And that's the problem. Keighley needs to surround himself with people that aren't yes men, that will say, hey, you know what, Jeff? Maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we should try something different. Maybe we should go down a different avenue with this. Maybe we should revamp the show. Maybe we should try this. No, it's literally like that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns realizes he's surrounded by yes men, because that's all Keighley has around him. It's just a big way for him to jerk his dick and say, hey, I'm hanging out with my friends and we're doing a show. That was the most pathetic award show in the world. Jeff Keighley cannot decide whether he wants the award show to be a tie affair, a suit and tie affair, or to be a fun, relaxed environment. And until Jeff realizes these things, the Game Award show will always be a joke. Even people that have defended the show in the past years have finally come to realize, hey, this show was not that good. And I've been saying it all along, but what do I know? Anyways, that is the 5 reasons the Game Awards show sucks. I hope you guys agree with me. If you don't waste your time telling me in the comments, I like the show, because I didn't. And it's pretty obvious I didn't. And that's why this video is so long. I was not a fan of the show. And I don't think it was that good. Let me know what you thought, I guess, in the comment section down below about the show. What your favorite parts were. Mine were Doom and the Cup and Prey. And what parts you didn't like about the show. I'm sure there will be more parts you didn't like than you actually did like. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out other videos on my channel. If you really like my face and listening to me yell, check me out on Patreon. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.